So good morning, everyone. Just before I start, I'm Dahi Conlon from Website NI, and I'm one of the mentors on the Amplify Digital Boost program. Before I start, I just wanted to let Barbara set the context for what we're here for, or why we're here today. So Barbara, I'll let you take control there.
No bother. I just want to welcome you all here to this session today, and thanks for taking the time out to come along. I'm sure we're all aware of what's happening out there at the moment with COVID-19 and how quickly this is spreading. So obviously we're trying to find ways in which we can work better and find ways in which we can work alternatively. Dahi has kindly agreed to deliver this session today looking at remote working. We have Catherine along who's looking at health and well-being. Thank you very much, Catherine. So what we have done is we have put together a package to support digital being one in terms of our digital webinars that we run, and this is the first of 3 that we're running over the next 2 weeks, and depending on demand we may run more. We're hoping to have these sessions available to view afterwards on video, so that you can tap into them just to get more information. And we also have digital one-to-one clinics as well, so if you want to tap into those. Obviously this information and all the support is free of charge from Council and from our funders. In addition, we also have support with through finance, so we have finance clinics, and we also have a webinar there that is available to view online on our website on midandeastantrim.gov.uk. And we also have HR webinar, just giving some guidance as well to those of you who have staff and you're just worried about what you need to do to help them and to support them during this time, and yourselves. And there's also one-to-one clinics there. So what I would suggest is get onto our website, midandeastantrim.gov.uk, or alternatively you can contact me. I'm sure Dahi can put my details up. I'm sure you have those already. Good to talk to you, and take care. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Barbara. And Barbara, do you want me to share the Amplify email address? Would that be the best email address?
I think, yeah, if you give them my address, if there's anything there, or send through the Amplified at midandeastantrim.gov.uk. But if you divert everybody to the midandeastantrim.gov.uk COVID-19 supporting your RMEA businesses, so I'll send those details through. So okay. I'll just put this up here.
Yeah, you can put that into the live message in there now. That's great. Okay, great. Thank you very much for that, Barbara. Just also want to say before I go any further, just to make everyone aware, I had sent out an email just there now that to make you aware that we are recording this session. As Barbara had asked us to do that, to make it available to other businesses in the council if they needed to access it later. So thank you, Barbara, for that introduction, and thanks everyone for joining the seminar. We're going to look today at a number of different tools and resources that are available for helping you to work remotely, and tools that enable you to keep in communication with your clients and your colleagues. Before we do that, though, actually we have Catherine Downey in the room. And Catherine is, this is a chaotic time for everyone, and can be a lot of stress involved. So Catherine has joined us today. Catherine is from Health Matters. Health Matters provides health and safety training as well as health and wellbeing and occupational health services across Northern Ireland. And Catherine is part of the health promotion team at Health Matters. So today, Catherine is going to be introducing some of the tips on how to look after your mental health and well-being whilst maintaining the social distancing. So Catherine, I'll hand over to you if that's okay then at this stage.
That's perfect. Yep, thank you. So I'm just going to share my screen with everyone so that we can get started. So give me 2 wee seconds because of a few wee.
Okay.
Okay. Here we go. So hopefully my sound is working okay and everybody's able to hear me nice and clearly.
So, I can hear you very clearly, yes.
Yeah, okay, great. So I'm just going to get started. So my wee session, just about 15 minutes or so really, and it's basically trying to get everybody introduced to positively thinking about their mental and physical health during the self-isolation period. So as Dahi said, my name is Catherine Downey, and my role as a dietitian and a health and wellbeing coordinator is essentially to go into organisations or help support organisations to improve the mental and physical well-being of staff. So this is just a nice, very quick introductory session, and just to be able to an opportunity maybe for some of you to speak to a healthcare professional and just to provide some reassurance during this period to yourselves in regards to mental and physical health support. So I know a lot of people are very anxious at this time, and it can be quite scary given the uncertain circumstances, but it's important that we all understand that we all have a vital role to play here, and I suppose just reminding us how interconnected we are. So I'm just reassuring people to try and respond in the calmest, wisest and kindest way we can. And in order to do that, we need to look at positive steps we can do every day that looks after our mental and physical health. So throughout this seminar, I'm going to be covering 4 main pillars of health and well-being. So sometimes we believe there's only one pillar, such as the food pillar or the exercise pillar, but it's understanding that our body is super interconnected. And I suppose, you know, it's about a balance across all 4 pillars. So you can't be optimal just in your food pillar and neglect the other 3. It's super important to have balance across the 4. So the 4 pillars are food, movement, sleep, and stress control. And I'll just briefly be touching on each of them in today's session. So I suppose just to introduce us into the stress response in this anxious period, that your body doesn't understand the difference between a real life stress, such as a real life tiger coming into the room and attacking you, and an anxious thought in your mind. So both these trigger a fight or flight response into the body. And what happens when we're in fight or flight mode is typically, for example, our blood pressure goes up, our heart rate heightens, we become more anxious and alert. So if you can imagine that response getting turned on continually throughout the day, that over time can lead to things like high blood pressure, heart problems, you know, just finding it hard to switch off. So that's why it's important to understand that even just a thought in the head can still trigger that response. So you'll see like this little diagram showing you this tiger and all the different types of stress that can attack us on a daily basis, from the likes of a financial stress, maybe to a relationship stress, to job. So hopefully this is kind of just a visualization of how our stresses attack us on our fight or flight response. So we'll just jump into the first pillar, which is food. And I always say it's my favorite pillar. So I know in the media at the minute, there's lots of different, you know, media websites and things trying to sort of sell different supplements about immune system and boosting your immune system. Unfortunately, you cannot boost your immune system through a diet or supplement, and no specific food will prevent you from catching the COVID-19 or coronavirus. So hopefully you're able to understand that no matter how many supplements you take or eating so many of this type of food does not prevent it. Good hygiene practice remains the best way of avoiding this. Now, in regards to you know, healthy eating advice to, I suppose, overcome this period or during this period, it is recommended to refer to the UK Eat Well guidance, and this is all available on the Food Standards Agency website. So this is kind of the plate that we sort of recommend, or approach that we recommend everyone follows during this period. There is no single superfood or supplement for your immune system. And I always say your diet should be like a painting, full of colour and full of variety. So our biggest kind of superpower in regards to our immune system is variety. Our gut bugs love variety. So the more you can expose your gut and your digestive system to different colours and different nutrients and different foods, the better. So it isn't recommended to be going on a diet or to be cutting out certain food groups at this period, just in regards to your immune system. Now, there are different nutrients that can help support a healthy immune system. So you'll see the holy grail of vitamin C's up here, along with a few others. So the likes of vitamin A, which you typically get from orange style foods, so think sweet potatoes and carrots. Vitamin C, you know, we always think about oranges instantly, but peppers and broccoli and potatoes, even with the skin on, is really good sources. Now, if there was a supplement to be taken during this period, as a dietitian, I would recommend a vitamin D, purely for the fact that we are getting outdoors a lot less. You know, we are sitting and isolating at home a lot more, so we're just not getting that vitamin D dose through basically the sunshine. So that would be the one supplement during this period I would recommend, and it is very, very important for our immune system. So a 10 microgram supplement is what you're looking for. You can find small doses in oily fish, cod liver oil and eggs, but very minimal. Zinc is another powerful immune system nutrient found in typically red meat beans, And another wee nutrient I recommend sort of people during this period just to improve your gut bacteria would be live yogurts. So typically it'll say live on the packet, or, you know, live cultures, and that just indicates that it is a probiotic food. You can get other probiotics such as sauerkraut and kombucha, which are more fermented foods, but I think live yogurt is the most available and accessible type of probiotic on the market at the minute. I will be taking questions, guys, towards the end if anybody does have any questions. So the best thing you can do, guys, if you are feeling unwell, or if, just to help, I suppose, get through this period, is to focus on building a healthy plate. So every mealtime, I suppose, trying to aim for your plate to look something like this, where half the plate should be vegetables or fruit. And a good rule of thumb is always to aim for 2 colors, nice vibrant colors, not beige. Usually when it's beige, it's carbs, but nice vibrant colors from a fruit and veg. A quarter of your plate, then prioritize your lean protein, so fish, eggs, meat. And a quarter of your plate, then whole grain options. So if you are going for a carb, trying to go for like an oat or potatoes with skins on, and whole grain bread. And finally, maybe ensuring that you have a thumb size of healthy fat, the likes of oils and seeds and nuts. So whenever your plate's balanced, you're less likely to have cravings, and maybe I suppose you're more satisfied overall because you have got the healthy dose of nutrients that your body requires. So again, that just helps, I suppose, maybe unwanted sort of, sugar cravings and things like that during this period as well. So the second pillar is movement. And I know this can be a difficult one at the minute, given the new advice and sort of, we are recommending only maybe potentially leaving the house once a day. So I encourage everyone to continue to try and meet these recommendations as far as possible. So the first box you'll see here is what we call aerobic activity. So this is kind of for your heart. So it is recommended we get 150 minutes of moderate intensity, and that's where you can talk but not sing. So that's going, for example, like a brisk walk or a cycle. If you think 150 minutes across the week is very unrealistic, you can choose to do 75 minutes of vigorous. And a good example is this: if anybody's heard of the Body Coach or any high intensity workouts at home, that would be an example of a vigorous workout where you're getting sweaty and out of breath and you're not able to talk or sing during it. Another huge important pillar within the movement is strength and balance on at least 2 days a week, because we are sitting a lot more, we're not moving our bodies as much, and we are more prone to musculoskeletal and back pain. So if you can aim to prioritize 2 days of strength and balance activities, so good examples would be the likes of yoga or Pilates, or even just anything, like plank work, like anything that's really trying to stabilize that core. And finally, breaking up periods of sitting, so grabbing a wee cup of tea here and there and giving yourself a good stretch as well can be super helpful. Again, this is, I suppose, in regards to another big mental health booster, is a daily dose of vitamin N. So this is what I call nature. So even as little as 10 minutes a day you can make a huge impact, and has actually been proven to switch off our fight or flight response. So your body essentially has 2 responses. One is the fight or flight, and the other one is called our rest and digest response. So to help you get out of that kind of stressed fight or flight mode and into that nice rest and digest mode, nature can really, really help with that. So green space, they call it forest bathing nowadays, the words for everything, but green space can really help improve your mental well-being and overall just improve your focus and concentration for the rest of the day. If you are sitting at home and you're not getting a change of scenery, just getting out for a quick walk at lunch can be helpful. Last wee one here with the movement, guys, is this is my wee kitchen workout. So whenever you are maybe waiting for the kettle to boil, something like this can be really helpful in just getting a wee movement snack. So just 5 simple exercises, and if you aim to do them for about a minute each, it can work out to be an extremely powerful workout. So squats, calf raises, press ups, tricep dips, and lunges. So I expect to see you all squatting and lunging around your kitchen the next hour after the meeting. And pillar 3 then is the sleep pillar. And I know this one is a big one, and I've been getting kind of a lot of my clients coming to me asking for advice around this time because they're quite anxious and maybe finding it more difficult to fall asleep. So just wee simple tips to improve sleep pattern throughout this period would be to try to go to bed and wake up at the same time every single day, even on the weekends. Okay, so If you lie in at the weekend, essentially it can put your body into a jet lag zone mode, where you can feel groggier, and sometimes people tell me that they feel overslept or overtired nearly, or they've just had too much sleep. So it is recommended to try and just basically go to bed and wake up at the same time every single day, even on those weekends. Another really important factor is blue light. So we get blue light from the likes of electronics and TVs, and even charging devices such as your earphones and toothbrushes. So any little light that can flash. So it is recommended to try and limit your exposure to blue lights about 1 hour before bed. Essentially, the darker you can get your room or your bedroom or the room that you're watching TV in, the better, because your wee sleep hormone goes up whenever it gets dark. So if you can aim to sort of even, I suppose, turn off your main lights and use lamps and try and dim the overall room about 1 to 2 hours before bed, that can be really helpful. Another really good thing would be as well, if you wake up throughout the night for longer than 20 minutes, it's to get out of bed and do something relaxing. So the research supports that is more beneficial for your sleep if you get out of bed and do something and then return to bed when I suppose you feel a little bit sleepier rather than lie in bed the whole time. Make sure your bedroom's cold and dark. I know we love being nice and warm, and we love electric blankets and fluffy blankets and loads of different layers on, but it is more helpful for your body if it's a colder temperature room. So if you can, open the window about 15 minutes before bed, and ensuring that you have your blinds closed and you are limiting light exposure, and you can do this through an eye mask as well. That can be helpful. Foods that can aid sleep. Now, just a word of warning here, guys, is that the basics must be adhered to before you jump on the bandwagon of supplements and food. And I always recommend food first rather than a supplement. So there are certain nutrients such as melatonin. Now, that is specifically a supplement, and I only recommend that for people on a really short-term basis rather than a reliant basis. And I would only recommend that to people, for example, who do a lot of traveling to and from time zones, or the likes of athletes. So probably for the most day-to-day, average people, not really melatonin, but other things that can be more helpful would be magnesium. Probably the most powerful sources are found in pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. Vitamin D, as I've touched on before, the best way we can get vitamin D is through sunshine or through a supplement. And finally, tryptophan, which is found in salmon, eggs, and seeds and spinach. Okay. Now, I know we love our caffeine here in Northern Ireland, and it could be the one thing that's getting us all through this at the minute, but it is recommended to try and limit your caffeine intake after midday. So any type of drug, even the likes of caffeine, has a lifespan, and caffeine's lifespan is about 12 hours, meaning that it takes 12 hours for that to be eliminated from the body. Now, I understand that a lot of people can still fall asleep very easily with caffeine in their system, but it does block your deep dream sleep, which is required for emotional recharging every day. So if you're not getting that good restorative deep dream sleep, you are more likely the next day to be a bit more anxious and to feel a bit more sort of emotive as such. So it is recommended during this period, definitely more so than ever, to limit your caffeine. And final one here is to adopt a positive attitude towards sleep. So there is such a thing called sleep anxiety, whereas, and you might have maybe witnessed it yourself or currently have it, where you get into bed and count the amount of hours you have left to sleep and maybe get a bit worried about how many hours you've left to sleep. So it's super important that you, I suppose, get into bed excited to sleep, and to tell yourself and give yourself permission to completely relax and have the best sleep that you can. So a positive attitude towards sleep is really, really important here, rather than getting into bed and thinking to yourself, I'm going to sleep really badly. I'm going to have a really disruptive sleep. Rather replace that with a really positive attitude. And final one here, guys, on stress control. So these are the 5 steps to mental well-being, and I'm not sure if anyone's ever heard of them before, but they are 5 evidence-based steps that have been shown to improve overall mental well-being in a lot of individuals. So the first one is to take notice, and that can be interchangeably used but called mindfulness. So paying attention to maybe your emotions, paying attention to your body, paying attention to your surroundings, and just taking notice every day and being in the moment. Being active, as I touched on before, it's getting that dose of aerobic and strength style activities. Learning, so these are all going to learn after I finished here today, how to use the Zoom app and get you set up in regards to that. So that's a really good platform of learning. Connecting, which is a very important one, I suppose, because we are isolating, this can be a difficult one to overcome. But hopefully with the use of maybe up-to-date technology, the likes of Zoom, and also maybe prioritising maybe audio calls to maybe loved ones during this period. You can also connect with things like nature, with pets, and with your spirituality. So there's lots of different ways you can connect with yourself and with others through this period. And the final one here, which again is quite a difficult one, I suppose, given that isolation period, is giving back. You know, but all I would recommend is maybe if you are nipping to the shops, asking, does anybody need anything, or trying to help one person a day if you can in any shape or format. And I suppose the big positive thing that I sort of have identified through this difficult and uncertain time is that we've all got a really important gift given to us called time. So with less, you know, we don't have to commute anymore. We maybe have more time to reflect and think about our mental well-being. So I suppose we should see it as a positive to do all the things that we, you know, thought or wanted to do in previous occasions. So that's basically the daily checklist of mental well-being. And now I'm just going to run through just a couple of exercises that might be useful for you on a daily basis here. So these are just basically about maintaining structure, which is again, and sanity during your social distancing period. So as I've mentioned before, sticking to your regular sleep schedule, getting out of your pajamas. Now I know a lot of people are only getting dressed from the top up and maybe down, they're still in their pajamas and slippers at the minute, but it can be super powerful for the mind if you can just get into a fresh pair of clothes and maybe just get a shower every morning and feel that you are going to work and telling your body that you're ready to work. Definitely sticking to usual meal times, so try not to skip too much meals and try not to graze too much either. It is recommended to try and prioritize that balanced plate that I talked about earlier on. Getting a daily walk in nature if you can, scheduling your regular calls, create a designated workspace. So whether it's the kitchen table or whether it's a spare bedroom or an office space, just trying to make that your new designated workspace. And finally, other wee things like you can even set up a book club with friends and aiming to get little at-home workouts. So some wee ideas for you is to maintain structure. A lot of people during this period as well are suffering a lot from anxiety and shortness of breath. So things that can be helpful during this period is different breathing techniques. Now this is another really good way of getting out of that fight or flight response and into that rest and relaxation mode that I talk about. So nature was one of them, exercise was one, good food was one, but another really quick way of getting out of that fight or flight mode is through breathing. And this is a technique called box breathing, where you just visualize a box essentially and breathe in through one side of the box, hold, breathe out, and hold. And each side of the box counts for 4 seconds. And that can be really helpful to do with kids as well, or children who are a bit stressed and anxious during this period. So just doing about 5 to 10 rounds of this box breathing anytime you are stressed, or potentially before you're about to fall asleep, can be very helpful on the mind and on the body. Another little technique when you're extremely anxious in the moment is the grounding technique. So this is based on the 5 main senses. So it's about naming 5 things you can see in the room. So looking around the room, and even try and do this now with me while I'm talking you through it. So if you can look directly around the room and see 5 things you can list. After you've listed 5 things mentally in your head, then naming 4 things you can feel. And this can be a difficult one, but it could be the likes of maybe your feet on the floor, it could be the back of your chair, it could be your clothing. Name 3 things you can hear. So hopefully you can hear me. But other things maybe outside, we can hear neighbours or the lawnmowers or anything else going on, maybe the kettle's boiling. Name 2 things you can smell. So maybe you can smell caffeine, and maybe Dahi had mentioned earlier, the farmer outside was spreading slurry, so he could smell manure. So different things might spring to mind when I say about naming 2 things you can smell. And finally, naming 1 good thing about yourself as well. So that's a really quick way of grounding your mind and body to be in the room, rather than, you know, being anxious and ruminating about a wee worry in your head. Final 2 wee exercises here, guys, is this is one of my favorites. It's called the 3 Ps. So this can be done typically right before you fall asleep, because it helps redirect your thoughts to focus on really positive things. And this is called the 3 Ps. So try and find a little bit of happiness in every day. So your 3 Ps is, the first one is a person you're grateful for. The second P is a pleasure you've enjoyed about that day. And the third P then is a plan you hope to achieve for yourself for the future. So that could be tomorrow or, you know, longer term. So something as small as a gratitude 3P exercise a day can be really, really powerful for the sleep and for the mindset in the minutes before you fall asleep. And that one's a really good one to do with kids as well. You know, at the dinner table, it sparks up a really nice conversation. The final one here, guys, as well, just in regards to dealing with anxieties and worries, is something I like to call the brain dump. And brain dumps help basically you organize your thoughts and reduce stress. A bit like, you know, clearing out your wardrobe or clearing out your kitchen cupboards. They just help you make you feel like you're in control a little bit more of your emotions. So it's recommended to find a little quiet space with a book and pen. Set a timer for at least 5 minutes. Write down as many things that are causing you worry or stress as possible in that time. And once the timer's up, then you can just close the book or you can rip it up and throw it in the bin. And there's no right or wrong way of doing it. It's essentially where you're trying to aim to cast off your emotions onto the page. And there's lots of research to back this up. The art of writing it down rather than even saying it out loud can be very, very restorative for the mind, for the body. So that's me, guys. It was a wee quick one-stop shop around the 4 pillars of health, but hopefully it kind of made you think and reflect and maybe spark some positive action within yourself to get started and maybe just focus on one small action a day. So there's different wee websites here as well, the likes of the Public Health Agency and Mind and Minding Your Head. And then there's little apps that you can download for free that maybe help you chill out or help you meditate and maybe focus on the breath or maybe reduce anxiety overall. So if anybody wants to contact me personally, they can do so. So my email address is Catherine@healthmattersni.com, and we are continuing to support workplaces during this difficult period through, you know, providing wee workshops on mental and physical well-being as well. So if anybody's interested, they can let me know. But I'll be taking any questions. So if you have any questions, if you want to pop them through the wee chat, and I'll be able to answer them for you if that's okay. So if you just, I'm just going to stop screen sharing here and bring us back in. And then if anybody does have a wee question, you can just pop it in the wee chat icon at the bottom for me. Okay. If not, hopefully it's fine.
Thank you very much, Catherine. No, that was very useful. And if anyone does have any question, as Catherine says, we can put it into the chat, or even if you hold the space bar, you can speak into your laptop and ask any questions. So anybody, any questions at this stage?
I see one here from Kirsty now. Any advice on achieving work-life balance? So I suppose it's a hard one because your workspace is now becoming your home space, but I just recommend having some form of activity you do to end your day. So I always recommend, if you can, get out for a walk, but I understand if you have kids and things, that can be very difficult. So try and have at least a 10-minute activity where you transition from work mode back to real, you know, home life mode. So whether that's a walk or whether that's a 10-minute, for example, yoga So I'm really recommending, you know, virtual yoga channels like of Boho Beautiful or different things like that. So having an activity that helps your mind and your body, I suppose, switch off. But in regards to work-life balance, essentially just turn off your notifications, having screen-free evenings, trying to have your meals as well without a screen. So for example, when you're having your breakfast, if you can, try and have it before you start work. Have your lunch, you know, without a screen and without notifications off, and have your dinner meal. And if you can, aim to have them in company if possible, because there's lots and lots of research to support those who sit down and have maybe a meal with others can be really, really powerful for just hitting that refresh button, and it actually makes you more productive rather than working through your lunch or working through that breakfast period. It's a bit more powerful. Other things as well as fluids. I know that's not really work-life balance, but 80% of your brain is water. So during this period, we might be less likely to drink a little bit more. So aiming for really good hydration during this self-isolation period is very, very important for keeping that mindset nice and fresh and energized. And hopefully, again, that can just overall help you feel like you're in control and you're more resilient overall. Hopefully they were helpful, but I understand it is very difficult, but I just really recommend trying to do an activity that helps you switch off from work to home.
Great, Catherine. Thank you very much, and really appreciate you coming and taking the time to join us today, Catherine. I
No
know
problem.
you shoot off, so thanks for jumping into that.
No problem. I'm going to shoot on, guys. But if anybody does have any, personal questions or queries, they can just pop me through a wee email. So that was Catherine with a C at healthmattersni.com. All right. Enjoy your training session, and thank you very much. All right.
Thank you, Catherine. That's super. Great.
Bye.
Okay, guys, so we'll go on now into and that was great to get that. We're going to go on into the main technical sort of how to functionally get up and running. Just a couple of housekeeping rules. As I say, the chat function is available just to the side. If you click at the bottom of your screen, you should be able to see a chat function. While I'm talking, Kirsty will be managing the responses to the chat, and then while she's talking, I'll be able to manage them. This event is being delivered as part of the Amplify programme, and the programme is part funded by Invest Northern Ireland and the European Regional Development Fund under the Investment for Growth and Jobs Northern Ireland programme, and the Mid and East Antrim Council. So just a thank you to the sponsors for making this, the funders for making this programme available. So yeah, and the other housekeeping point just before we get started, as you know, you're all, when we joined the meeting, we were all put on mute, because if everybody's off mute, then there can be a lot of background noise. So for big meetings, we would recommend starting the meeting in mute mode. But if it's just you meeting with your colleague or 2 or 3 of your colleagues, you probably don't need that. But just to let you know that you're currently on mute. So I'm going to now share my screen. If I jump in with this and share, hopefully everyone can see that okay. So yeah, as I say, we're going to run through a number of tools. Basically, it's like nearly a knee-jerk reaction. How do we get up and running with remote working? And this is what we're hoping to be able to show you here today. So and we're not going to go into particularly deep depths of the tools. It's just to make to short circuit your learning and to make you aware of the different tools that are available. So let me just get started. Yeah, so as I say, the Zoom is what I'm going to talk about today, and then Kirsty's going to look at a number of additional tools. And the health and wellbeing piece, yes, as I say, Catherine had come in earlier because she has another appointment at 1, so we just rejigged it slightly. So yeah, first thing to say, yes, congratulations on being in the room. I mean, that's, to be honest, just the very fact that you have got into the room, you have managed a lot of what needs to be done to get to get Zoom up and running. So just being in the room is nearly half the battle. So that's great. As I say, yes, we're muted on entry. Yes, there's an additional guide at websiteni.com/remote. And Kirsty, maybe you can put that into the chat box, please. So yeah, I'm going to look at Zoom now. So first step is just setting up your account, and it's like any of these accounts. You're going to have a lot of username and passwords by the end of this session, by the way. But basically, you just go to the Zoom website, put in, hit sign up. Put your work email address, and the reason you put your work email address in is your colleagues, then you'll be able to quickly access them whenever you're trying to set up a meeting. They'll appear in your contacts, and it's almost like making a phone call. You can just click on their name and it'll ring. But that's as much as there is to it. You set up your username and password, and then this is the cloud, the application, the cloud, Zoom cloud meeting application. You already have this installed. By the fact that you're in the room, you have this installed. So you just go into this and click on sign in, put in your username and password, and that's you logged into the system and ready to create your first meeting. So creating your first meeting and sending an invite. So you've set your account up, and now how do we create our first meeting? It's fairly self-explanatory, as you can see. If you're just having a quick meeting, say you're on a phone call to someone and you think, right, we'll better jump on to a Zoom meeting to chat this through, or if you want someone to have an unscheduled, just a meeting there and then, similar to a phone call, you just click on that button, as I say, to start. We'll go back a bit, new meeting. So that's when you would use that, and that opens up the room essentially, and that's as much as there is to it. That's the room open. I have my video off and the audio is on, but that's the room open, and all you need to do now is share the link to the meeting with whoever you want to join it. So you can see, there's only one participant at the moment, but that's me. This is a screen recording that I took earlier. But yeah, so you can click invite. As I say, there you can see why if people register with the same domain name, they can show up in your contacts, and it's a handy way of making a quick call. But if you're trying to talk to, or if you want to talk to, a client or a supplier or whatever, you want to copy the URL. So copy that this URL is a unique link to access this meeting. And then you just send that out, whether it's by email or over one of the messaging tools like Slack that we're going to show you, or WhatsApp even. So that's all there is to it really. They get that link, click on the link, and you're in the room. So that's how you create a quick meeting. Then scheduling a meeting. So that's if you want to plan a meeting. Say you're going to have a meeting tomorrow, a production meeting tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So I think you'll guess what you do here. Rather than click on new meeting, you just click on schedule meeting, and you have a range of options here, a range of fields. So the topic and the date to the start and time and duration, the time zone. So just if you're meeting with people in different time zones, make sure your time zone is set to the right setting there, because Zoom will automatically take care of that. You can generate an ID automatically, or you can use a personal meeting ID. We nearly always just use generate automatically, and basically what that means is send a unique URL every time. I'm just going to pause there for a second. So the password, you can specify whether or not the participants need a password to join the meeting. We don't normally use that if it's just a team meeting and it's nothing particularly sensitive. We would just for simplicity's sake just use this generate automatically, because that generates a 10-digit code, and unless you have that 10-digit code, you can't get into the room. So we don't normally require a password. But for example, if you're a solicitor or doing some very confidential communications, then it would be suitable to add a password. So you can do that. You can set whether you want your participants' video to be on or off. We typically put them on and participants on as well, and set the audio to computer audio. So that's saying the audio is going through the laptop or your phone or whatever, rather than through a traditional telephone landline. You can select, as I say, there are some advanced options. So we would recommend for big meetings, that you or mute participants on entry. If everyone joins the room unmuted, it can get quite noisy and a lot of feedback, and that can make it quite chaotic. So if it's only 2 or 3 or 4 people, then you wouldn't enable that. But if it's going to be a big meeting, then we probably would allow that. Enable waiting room. That's another option that if it's a big meeting, you can have people sitting that whenever they click on the link to join the meeting, they're effectively held in a queue, and then you control when they come in. We ran this seminar earlier this morning, and had enable waiting room enabled. But the problem with it is then if I'm in the middle of giving a session and somebody else joins the meeting late, it distracts me from the session, because I have to go in and automatically authorize them to be allowed to come into the meeting. So just to be aware of, it's I just learned that myself this morning. So you just fill in your details and schedule, and that's the production meeting schedule. So that's all there is to it. Then if you click into meetings, you can see there, that's the production meeting sitting ready to go. Then at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, you click on start, and that will start the meeting. But again, what you're looking for then at this stage is copy invitation. So you want to click on that, and that will copy the URL, the unique link, into your clipboard. and then you can share that whatever way, whether it's by email or by WhatsApp or Slack messaging system or whatever way you want to share it. You can even give this 10-digit code 822168428 or 9-digit. That code, even if you give that to participants, they can join the meeting then, and it really is as simple as that. So that's how to now how to set up your account, create your first meeting, and send out the invites, and how to schedule a meeting. Just quickly then, we want to look for the first time that you're using Zoom. We would recommend that you just test your audio and your microphone to make sure everything's right. So you go up to the top right and click on settings and audio, and you click on the speaker, and you should hear a sound. And if you hear a sound, then you know it's working. And then the microphone piece, you click on that and you speak into it for a minute or 20 seconds. And then hit play, and it should play back what you've just spoken. And as long as you can hear that, then you're up and running. The other, as I say, we recommend you do that just the first time you're using Zoom. You don't have to do it like I didn't do it before this session, because I know that it's working. The other thing I just want to I should point out here is press and hold the space key to temporarily unmute yourself. So if that is ticked, if that's ticked, then that just enables that functionality. So, and it is enabled by default. So I would love if somebody would give me a test, if someone could press their space bar and say hello. No.
Hello.
Thank you very much, Mark. That was great. Yeah. So it's just to show you how it works. So you just basically, when you're holding the space bar, it's kind of, I think of it like a walkie-talkie from the olden days. But so you just that's an option to press and space the hold key to temporarily unmute yourself. But yeah, that's, as I say, you set up test your audio and audio and your mic the first time before your first meeting, and then you're good to go. So some of the functionality then, you know how to create a meeting and share the links. So I just want to share some of the functionality then. Screen sharing is one of the, so you can, and that's exactly what I'm doing here now. So you're looking at my PowerPoint that I have on my laptop, and likewise when you're managing a meeting, you can share whatever's on your screen. So whether that's a Word document, a PowerPoint, an Excel, or whatever. So this is the Zoom meeting here. You just go down to the button at the bottom. It'll show all the windows that you have open, and you can select whichever screen it is you want to share. So that's the NI Business Info website. And now I'm sharing that with all the participants in that meeting. And you can see up at the top there's a wee button to stop share. And again, you just click on that, and that brings it back into the room again. So that's all there is to screen sharing. Advanced screen sharing options. So I just want to show you just very quickly some advanced screen sharing options. And it's just more about settings that you as the host can control. So for example, how many participants can share at the same time? Multiple participants can share. You really want 2 monitors set up to enable that or to use that. Oh, that just went. Sorry, let me go back and forward. Yeah, but yes, who can share? So as a host, you can say, only I am able to share my screen, or you can have the function that anybody can share their screen. So for example, here today, Catherine, because I have all participants enabled, Catherine was able to share her screen, and Kirsty, whenever she's given some of her information, she'll be able to share her screen as well. And who can start sharing whenever someone else is shared. So that's basically just to allow a bit of control. So yeah, just some advanced, as I say, sharing options that you may need to be aware of really, rather than anything else. Then managing participants. So again, you guys are all participants in the meeting, in this meeting, and I'm the host. And as a host, I have control to manage participants. And I just want to show you some of the options in that. So for example, the button at the bottom allows you to manage participants, and you click on that, it shows them up on the right hand side. So I can go in and select a participant and mute them or unmute them. And I can actually also mute all and unmute all. if I unmute all, so I'm saying I want to take everyone's speaker off, it will actually show you, give you an opportunity to say, yes, I want to allow that. So you can see there what you unmute now, and that's you as a participant can control whether or not to allow that. You can also get some more settings there, so you can lock the meeting so that nobody else can come into the meeting. You can set it to play a wee chime whenever someone comes into the room, and automatically mute participants on entry. And then, yes, some more settings. So, for example, you can remove a participant if, for some reason, if they're causing bother or whatever, for whatever reason, you have that functionality there. And you can also ask them to start their video. So just some of the more functions available to manage participants. Excuse me. So then the in-meeting messaging system, this is a fairly straightforward. I mean, we're already using it a bit there this morning, but essentially at the bottom, you will see a link to chat. And if you click on that, again, it shows it up on the right-hand side. You can send a message to everyone, or you can send a message to an individual, and you can send a message publicly or privately. And it's all self-explanatory there. So in that example, I just put a public message there to everyone, and now I'm sending a private message to Boris. So hello, Boris. You can also select a participant on the main screen and right-click on them and hit chat, and that just opens up a direct link. That's just another way of getting into message them privately. Another thing you can do with the Zoom chat group is, for example, sharing files. So if I go to, I want to share with everyone in the meeting, click on that, and it shows some options, so I can go in and pick a file and share it. The other option I want to show there, yes, is you can control whether participants can chat with other participants or whether they can only chat with the host. It's all fairly self-explanatory. You go in there and you can see what the options are. So that's the in-meeting messaging system. Setting a virtual background. So I just want to quickly show you this. This is a bit more of a gimmicky thing, but if you're working from your home environment and you have maybe dirty dishes in the background or something, just that there's a lot of chaos in the background, and you don't want your clients to see that, you can go in to just to the right of the video link. There's an option to choose a virtual background, and you just select the background, and that automatically puts the background in as your virtual background. So there's a couple there that come by default, but you can also upload your own. So for example, we have this one with our own website NI logo, and we have uploaded that, and we can use that if we want to. You'll note just whenever you do upload it, it's actually inverse because it's the reverse of the camera. This is what it's shown, but whenever that goes live, then you will see it properly as a participant. So that's the setting the virtual background. Just to reiterate again, as I say, the chat function is there. If anybody does have any questions on any of this, please do message in, and either myself or Kirsty will try to respond to you. So just quickly then to look at the limitations of the free version. As I say, the free version, anybody can sign up for. It takes 2 minutes to sign up for. The big limitation with that is this 40 minutes limit on group meetings. So if it's just one-to-one messages or one-to-one meetings that you're having, you can talk for as long as you want. But if there's more than 2 people in the room, so if you three or more people in the room, then with the free version, your meetings can only last 40 minutes. And after that, Zoom will close it off or kick you out. Now, again, if it's with your colleagues, it's just a matter of closing that, opening up a new room and sending the link out, and you're off again for another 40 minutes. But, if you're going to be using it regularly, it's not expensive. It's £12 a month and you only need one, the person that's hosting the meetings only need to have that. And it's £12 a month, and that gives you unlimited time in group meetings. And you can have up to 100 participants in the meeting at any one time. Also with this here, you get reporting, and you can record the session onto the cloud. It also has a couple of other features. For example, the registration process that you would have went through to attend this meeting, that's all managed within Zoom. So we would have set up saying require registration, and we can control what fields we want to collect the information on your name and address and your business organization, things like that. And it automatically sends out the registration link. So there is some extra functionalities with the pro version, but for a lot of people, the basic is all they need. Potential problems, just one quick thing to note. We had one client who, whenever we started using this last week, we were sending the link and they weren't able to get on to the meeting, and we couldn't understand because everyone else was getting on okay and it was the same link. And then we figured out it was they were using a home device and they had parental controls enabled on the device for their kids. So just to be aware of that may cause a problem if you have a client who has difficulty getting on, just to consider is that what's causing it. Tips and tricks. So just a couple of quick things in terms of the visual. And as you can see yourself, you can join without the video on, but if you have your video on, position the camera correctly, and just consider your background. Is it noisy? Is there a lot of things going on in the background? And if there is, consider doing that virtual background, or just changing the angle. Using natural light, so as much natural light as possible, will help the visual of your audio of your camera. And make sure you're not having too much backlight. So for example, if you're in a corner, in a room in a corner, and you have the light back here and it's just coming this way, then your face might be darkened out. So just to be aware of that. And say there, give the lens a quick wipe before you start. You don't need to do that for every meeting, but if you haven't used it in a couple of weeks, you might just give it a quick wipe, and it cleans off any dust that's on the camera. Security, we had a couple of people asking about security. Use a password if you're discussing highly confidential material. So there's a kind of a trade-off there between ease of use and security. We don't tend to use the password, but if it is confidential, it is worth that extra hassle of adding a password. And it's simply a matter then, whenever the participant is clicking the link, it'll just say what's the password. They put in the password and they're in. So it's not overly complicated. It's some isolated instances of vulnerability, and again, this is like if you Google for vulnerabilities of Microsoft or Google or any software, you're always going to find some vulnerabilities. But our advice just would be to keep your software relatively up to date. Zoom is used by over 60% of Fortune 500 companies, and they trust it, and Zoom puts quite a bit of effort into making sure that the functionality, or that it's a secure system. So I just wanted to give a quick heads up on that. The only other thing, I wanted to just say about, you can set up a poll as well. So if you're in a meeting, say you want to take a vote on something, it's quite straightforward to do that as well. So you just go into your settings and enable polls. You can add a poll and ask people to join in or to respond. So then I want to go back into this, and yeah, that's all we really needed to look at in terms of Zoom. If I go escape now, I'm going to now unmute everyone, manage participants, and unmute all. So just to see, has anybody any questions on any of that to do with Zoom? Okay, fair enough. So if you have any questions, do put it in the Zoom chat, and we can we can address it from there. I'm going to hand over then to Kirsty. Kirsty's got to look at some other tools that are available for helping you with remote working. Okay, Kirsty?
Yeah, yeah.
Great. And you want to share your screen there, Kirsty?
Yeah.
Great.
So basically, Dahi has taken you through sort of what we use to set up conferences to talk to each other through video link. But what I'm going to show you is just a few additional tools that we use in the office and at home here day to day, just to communicate with each other, to share files, to just basically how we get on with day-to-day life and the work. Bear with me. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to do Slack. So Slack is a tool that we use. It's actually sort of taken over from email in our office, especially for me using it anyway, because it's a way of messaging the rest of the staff, the rest of the team basically. So Slack, it's a collaboration hub that can replace email to help you and your team work seamlessly together. It's designed to support the way people naturally work together. So you can collaborate with people online just as efficiently as you would if you were face to face. So it's very easy to get started with. I'm going to show you basically the whole ins and outs of setting it up here. So just Google, or there's the website address, but Google it will bring up the same thing, and you're literally clicking get started. And because you haven't set up a Slack team yet, you're going to choose the second option to say that your team isn't set up. It's going to ask you for an email address, and then it's going to ask you just the same way as anything would to verify your email address. So it's going to send you a link. There you can see in the top corner is my link to verify it, and that is basically you set up. That's how you get started. And then the next thing is just going to be signing in. So it'll bring you, once you verify your email address, the link will take you here, and it'll initially ask you to set up your workspace. Oops, sorry, I went too fast. It'll ask you to set up your workspace. So you click sign in, and it's going to ask you for your workspace URL. If you don't know it, you can click the link to find your URL and just go like you would in Google. You just literally search for URL and click join. If you're the admin, you'd have probably invited everybody to join anyway, so they'll have it there. And then you would log in as you normally would. So just your your email address and your password. And you can download this as an app. See, because I have an app already downloaded here, it's asking me to open Slack rather than redirect me to the website. But if you don't have the app, it'll just redirect you to the website link. And then this basically is your homepage. So this is what you see whenever you first open Slack. You can see along the left-hand side here, I have my channels. So your channels are basically just team conversations. So you can have conversations, as you can see, we have conversations for our digital marketing team, our projects in design. We can have a management team, whatever you want, basically. You can have anything you like. And these can be, these conversations are channels. I will say while I'm here though that we have a free version of Slack. We don't pay for it. And that means that we are limited. We can only see the 10,000 most recent messages that we have in our Slack conversations. We find that works perfectly well for us as a business. We don't need any more. If you have a larger company, you might find that you might need the business version. It's not that expensive to have, but I mean 10,000 to us does us pretty well, so we don't feel the need for anything else. And then along the bottom here, you'll see direct messages. So if you want to directly send a message to someone privately, you can do here. So I'm just going to talk you through basically creating a channel so that you can set up a conversation between us. Sorry, it logged me off there. So let me see. So basically what you're going to do to add a channel is you're going to click on the plus icon beside the channels, and this application does recognize letters or spaces, so we use just dashes in between just to differentiate the different words. And then you can have a description if you want. We don't really use one. And then you have the option to make the channel public or private. So if you want to make it private, that means that only the people that you invite into the channel can see the messages. So it's confidential. So you have to physically add people. So you can see here, because Dahi's part of my team, I'm selecting his name and adding him. So anything that's in this channel then is only seen by myself and Dahi and anybody else that we add on. So I'm just going to test it here so you can see I'm literally writing testing, and that's your message. So that's how it comes up. That's how instant it is. It's just a very good way of chatting back and forth. And then it's really easy to use. It's not complicated at all. As well as that, you can direct message, as I said. So if you have a message that you just want to send to one particular person, you have that option as well. Very simple. Same thing as creating a channel. You can either choose from the options here if somebody is a more recent one, or you can click to open a direct message, and you can search for them. I'm just literally going to use myself here to talk to myself just for the purpose of this video to show you how it works. So this is just your exact same way as the other conversations look, no different. This is it. So again, you can just send a message. You can, if you come up instantly, so the other person will get like a ping notification to tell them that they've got a message. This will highlight, sort of, you can see with the wee green circles, you can see who's online at any moment. And if the wee circle is not coloured in, that means that person is offline. But basically it'll highlight, so Dahi would have got like a highlighted message up here to say that he got a message in the working from home conference channel, or he got a message down here. It would highlight down here so that he can see that, where the message is. Another great thing about Slack is that it's a bit like email. You can share files. So if you have a document that you want to share to a team member or to put up for all the team members to see, you can do so. Again, it's very simple. You can either click on the wee clip icon, or you can basically just do a drag and drop. You see, I'm going to do a drag and drop from my desktop, and that's how quick it is. You can add comments, you can add notes onto your message, and just literally hit upload, and that's it. That's the process, and that's it uploading to this messaging service. So it's so easy. You can upload PDFs, Word documents, images, wee videos, PowerPoints, anything that you need to. It's all there, and you just literally upload it. It's so easy. Another great thing about it is that it syncs with your mobile phone use. So if you start a conversation, if you download this app and you have a conversation that you're working on your desktop, and then you walk away from your desk maybe at the end of the day or something, and a message comes through, you can get it in your phone. It's completely synced up. It's instantaneous. You'll get the save. You can start a conversation on your desktop and continue it on your mobile. It's so easy. It's so handy. It's brilliant. It really is a fantastic tool to use. Another thing that we tend to use a lot is Dropbox. So Dropbox is basically just a way for us, like an online storage service, but it's a way for us to share files and things with each other. There's Dropbox and Google Drive. They're both the same. They both do the same sort of thing. Some people had Dropbox, some people have Google Drive. They both work well. Dropbox particularly, it's very easy to set up. You just sort of go on Dropbox, click the create account, fill in your details, click to agree to the terms and conditions, and that's you basically set up. This is what your homepage will look like. And basically, if I show you, it's very easy to find your way around. You can upload files, you can upload a whole folder of files if you want to. You can click to share these files with a particular person, and what that will do is it will send you, like if you click here, I'm uploading just one document, but I can then share that one screenshot with a particular person. They'll get an email link to say that you've been given access to this file. You click the link and it'll bring you into the Dropbox to achieve the file. The only thing about this is that, unlike Google Drive, if you wanted to make any changes to a Word document or anything like that, you have to physically download the document from Dropbox. That's a lot of people are using Google Drive at the minute because they find it's easier, because you can make all the edits and things yourself on Google Drive, whereas Dropbox doesn't have that functionality. But as you can see, you can share folders. It's so easy to use. It really is. I would use it a lot for sending photography, and things. If I'm doing projects and I have a lot of photography for that particular project, I save it in a folder on Dropbox because it's very handy to use. It's very easy to upload. It syncs very well. So if you make changes or you have made changes here, it syncs up with your files a lot quicker than what Google Drive would. It's a lot better at syncing across the platforms than what Google Drive would be. So there's pros and cons of both. It's just whichever one you have. Dropbox came out first, so a lot of businesses already have Dropbox set up because it was out a couple of years, I think, before Google Drive. Google Drive has only sort of come out in the last couple of years. But it's the same thing. It's the exact same. It's an iCloud storage. It gives you a lot more storage space. So whereas Dropbox only gives you 2 gigabytes, Google Drive gives you 15. But that 15 is shared across your Google Photographs, your Gmail, and any other applications that you have in your Google account. So just be wary. You may think that, oh my God, that's a lot of space, but you have loads of photographs on your Google Drive that's going to take up away from that 15 gigabyte. It's very, it's very, very handy to use. The same, it's very easy to get into. There's a lot of benefits to Google Drive as well as the extra storage. You can upload any sort of file at all, even a video, a movie that can be uploaded. It can be taken on your iPad, your laptop, your phone. It's great. It's very easy to share files with people. It's very easy to work through. It's very, very easy to set up. It's not hard at all. Exact same as Dropbox. You're literally filling in your email and creating a password, accepting the terms and conditions, and that's basically you set up. A lot of people already have a Gmail account, and if you already have a Gmail account, chances are you just go in and there is an icon there already for you to access Google Drive because it'll already be initially set up for you. And again, even the layout is very, very similar to Dropbox. They're not difficult. I would share, we have, especially working from home at the minute, when we knew that we were going to be working from home because of the coronavirus, we were able to upload any documents that we needed onto the Google Drive here, and then basically access them all from home. And the great thing about this is that if you share a file with somebody, so if you share a Word document that you've been working on, or a PDF there, as you can see, you can upload it and you can share it then with people. You can make the necessary changes that you need to on Google Drive, whereas with Dropbox you don't have that functionality. So it's fantastic. It's really, really great. It's you can share individual files, you can share folders, you can any changes. If somebody accesses this and they make changes, it automatically syncs. So it, you know, yours upload or your updates as well as theirs. It's fantastic. So the next thing then I'm going to talk about is WeTransfer. We would use WeTransfer for sending very large files. Like I, the other day, was sending this PowerPoint to Dahi, it was 200 megabytes, and there was no way it was going to go through email. It would have taken forever, and this was just an easier and a free alternative to a way for him to get it. So basically, you just Google WeTransfer. You don't even have to log in. It will ask you, it'll prompt you to sign up to an account, but you don't have to. I think the limit for the amount of files you can send a day is something like 12 or 13. Like, you wouldn't be sending that many large files a day. So basically, you drag and drop your document on, you send in or put in your email address, the recipient's email address, and whatever message you want, and hit transfer. And this will send to your email address, it will send you a verification link. This is just a new feature of WeTransfer. You never had to do this verification link in the past, but unfortunately now you do. But it's very simple. Like, you'll see my email there has just come through. There's the verification link. You type it in and click verify, and that's basically it. That will start transferring. So basically, you can see there, I'm not going to show you the whole process, but there's it starting to transfer through, and that's basically it. That is the ins and outs of WeTransfer. It's very, very handy, but it's a really great wee tool if you have a larger file to send across. The next thing then is Trello. This is a brilliant tool for us to use. We use it, I should say, when we want to keep an eye on projects that are like in design, or projects that we're currently working on. You can see who's targeted to what project, how far they are on the process. It's brilliant. So it's like a list making application. It helps you keep track of your work projects, so you can see what project's been working on, who's working on that particular project, and where it is in terms of the process. So setting up your account, again, none of these are very hard to set up. They're all really, really easy. Again, Google Trello and sign up. And like the rest of them, you just enter an email address that you're going to be working with, and pretty much you just enter your name and you create a password, and like anything except the terms and conditions, and that's pretty much you. We should sign up there now, and that's it. That's all you need to do. It doesn't really ask you for much else other than that. It will ask you to verify the application, but you get, I think it's 14 days to verify it, so you don't have to verify it there and then. You can go on ahead and use it. Basically, the first thing you get when you open the download is this is basically like a step-by-step guide on how to use it anyway. It's like a wee demo for you, which is great, but it's not necessary in this case because I'm going to talk you through it anyway. But you can see I'm making a list called meetings, and there's the 3 options that I'm going to have across them, and we'll just ignore them because I'm going to go into more detail in a wee minute about them. So that's going to build your board for you automatically. So it's automatically set up a board straight away for you without you having to do anything, basically. So the first thing I always do is show people how to create teams, because that's the main thing that they're going to be doing. So your team members, you can set it up so that different team members can see different boards. So it doesn't necessarily have to be everybody on the one board. You can have a board that is for management that only the managers can see. You can just ask them to join in, so only the management can see. Or if you have someone who is working as, say, a placement student that's working on one specific thing, you can add that person to the boards that you don't have to add them to the other ones. It's a great way of setting up for different departments and things as well. It's great. So basically, to create a board, or create a team, sorry, I should say, you literally can click on the plus sign here on the top right hand corner and create team. Give your team a name, whatever you want it to be, and your team type. There's the different options you can have. You can enter your own. You don't have to have a team description if you don't want to. It's not necessary. And then you can invite your team members. So you just basically add in their email address and they will get a notification to say that you've added them to a team on Trello. So you can see I'm adding myself. But it's that simple. You just literally invite them and that's them. And then you can see, so this is your team. So you can see then for that team, you can see what boards they're part of. You can see who the members are. You can make it private or public. So if it's private, nobody else can join except obviously the people that you have specifically requested to join it. You can change that if you want. You can take people off. You can add people on at any stage. It's very, very easy to use. So the next thing then will be basically creating a board. So, oh, sorry, I went too fast. Hang on. Sorry, so the next thing basically is going to be creating a board. So your boards are going to be your lists that you want to keep a record of. So we use them for projects in work. So we literally have a board that you can add, and you can add all the different projects that you have currently going on. So we're going to categorize this into groups. So there's going to be assigned, and then say phase 1, and then phase 2, and then sign off, just for the purpose of this demonstration, just to show you. I mean, you can name them whatever you want, obviously. And then the next thing then will be to, once you've created your different categories, you will create your projects. So to do that, in Trello they're called cards, but it's the same thing. They're projects. So basically, it's already there. All you have to do is enter your card name or your project. I call them like 1, 2, 3, and 4, just so you can see from the purpose of this demonstration what I'm talking about. But you just literally type in the name, click add, and that's them added. And the great thing about this is then you can move them. So you can literally just drag or click on it and drag it across and take it into the different phase. So every time you finish or put a project through a different phase, you can move it on the board. So everybody that's in part of that team can see what at what time or what position the board or what process that particular project's in. You can move them back and forward if there's one in the sign off, and you know that there's an issue comes up and you need to move it back into phase 1. It's very easy to do, like I just demonstrated there. It's great. And another great thing about the Trello is that you can upload files. So each of these projects, I can upload notes or anything like that. You know, if you go out for a meeting and one member of your team isn't in that day, so they missed that meeting, you could add notes onto the account and under activity here to say, right, your meeting went well, or if there was anything brought up in the meeting that needs to be looked into, you can add it here. It's great. Another thing you can do is you can attach files. So if you have an action plan, or if you have a contract, or you know, any like a signature or any sort of document or picture that you want to upload, you can add it to your board or add it, sorry, to your card as well, so that everybody can see it. It's just a great way of everybody being able to see what's going on within that one project, or at what position it's at, or if there's any issues, or if you need help with anything. It's a great way of keeping on top of everything. It's a great way for management as well to see all the aspects. Another thing that I haven't showed you that you can do in here is that each of these projects, you can assign a team member to that project. So say if design came in and Dahi wanted to give it to me, he can give me, every team member gets like a different color, and you can assign a person to that particular project there. So he can assign it, and then it sort of gives me responsibility, so Dahi knows that if there's an issue or anything or comes in, he can come to me because it's under my name. He knows that I'm the one that's sort of looking after it, basically. And that's pretty much me. So I'm going to hand you back to Dahi now, and he's going to take you through Calendly, and then a few more that he has been working on that'll help you in the office as well. So I just
Is that me unmuted now? Yeah. Thank you, Kirsty, for that. That's great. And I see Mark has asked a question there. Would Trello help keep timesheets? It doesn't have a timekeeping function. Kirsty, is that right? There isn't. I don't think there's a. You're on mute.
As far as I know, no, I don't think there is one. No.
Yeah.
Unless you enter in the comments and things like that, you can enter your times and stuff that way.
Yes, yeah, and there are other tools that you can record your time. But yeah, in terms of timesheets, I would say Trello, it's more sort of when you've got lots of different projects and you're trying to move them all through different stages, and you want to know, like, we use it as Kirsty said, projects that are just in or at design stage or waiting for client approval or in production and signed off, so you can sort of quickly at a visual glance see where your project is. So thank you very much, Kirsty. And we're sort of throwing a lot of different tools at you here today. We're not getting into too much depth in any of them, but just throwing a lot of tools to make you aware of all the different tools that are available. And as I say, not all of the tools will be relevant to every business, but our intention is just to sort of short circuit your research phase and into what tools that might be suitable. And if you see something that you think could be useful, then that's something you could look at further. And you may be able to get help with getting that set up through the Amplify program if you haven't already gone through that. So I want to now look at, as Kirsty says, I'm going to share my screen now from current slide. So is that's showing the screen okay? Yeah, great. Okay, so the next tool I want to show you is called Calendly. And to be honest, we haven't actually used this before ourselves, but we have a number of clients who have started using it now in this new environment where they're having to work remotely. And it's a useful tool for if you sell your time, essentially. So if you want to make yourself available, and for people to book a session with you, so whether that's a consultancy or a training session or a PT session or whatever, it can be a very useful tool for that. So it's again, it's, as I said at the start, you're going to have a lot of usernames and passwords at the end of this session, but you'll see which ones you need and which ones are useful. So again, setting up an account is dead straightforward. You just go to calendly.com, put in your email address, sign up, and you're good to go. Sign up, and put your email address in. Now it will actually it'll ask you, do you want to integrate with Office? So if you are already set up with Office 365, then that might be a good idea to integrate that, because then it can see your calendar and knows what your availability is. And so if you say, for example, put a meeting into Office 365, it will automatically take that availability out of the Calendly function, and that'll hopefully make a bit more sense now in a minute. But for now, we're going to just create an account with a password. So if we click on, then yes, so click here, and that just, you put in your name and your password and agree to the terms and conditions, the same as all of these applications. you put in that, and that's your account setup. It'll send a verification, and you just you're good to go. So that's all there is. Before continuing, we need to verify your email address. So they'll, again, you've seen this before, where they send you an email and you confirm, yep, I've set up. So that's you up and running. Then you just need to set up your default settings. So as I say, it'll run you through a sort of a setup. It's very simple. This is the URL that you will be sharing with your clients. So you put in a custom URL. Make sure your time zone is correct. If you're going to be doing work internationally, make sure your time zone is correct, because Calendly will look after that. You can connect to your calendar. For now, we're going to we'll continue without connecting. And then you set your availability for the week. So whatever your standard week, now this isn't fixed, you can change it on down the line, but in the setup process, you tell Calendly what your default week is for when you want to make yourself available for people to book a session or what a consultancy with you. So for example, this example, I only set myself there from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock on a Tuesday, but typically you would do a 5 day a week, or maybe do 3 days a week or 3 afternoons or whatever. It's very easy to set up. This section here where it's asking to personalize your experience, I don't think it really matters much what you click there. I just clicked on freelance and consultant on that stage. And that's you up and ready to run. And it actually, on the right hand side here, getting started, you can see it talks you through the process of what you need to do to get set up. But that's your environment. So we skipped the calendar setup at the start just to show you how to get set up. But to get the most use out of this, we would recommend that you do connect your calendar. So we use Office 365. So again, whatever calendar you use, whether it's Google or Microsoft or whatever, it will bring you over. You click on it, it'll actually bring you over. You'll see the URL up at the top. It's actually over on the Microsoft website now. So and you're logging into your Microsoft account, and what that's doing is authenticating. You log into Microsoft and authenticate and say, yes, I give Calendly permission to see my appointments. And likewise, whenever there's a booking on Calendly, it will populate your calendar automatically with that. So this is where the screen where you authenticate and say, yes, I consent on behalf of the organization and accept. And that it takes a couple of minutes for that to authenticate through, but once you've done that, then effectively you've linked your calendar and to Calendly, and you're good to go. So that's that. So yeah, you have your account set up and set up your default settings. You've connected to your calendar. The other thing which is really useful is, we've looked at Zoom. You can also connect your Zoom account to Calendly. So, and particularly in this current environment where everyone's working from home, because in Calendly you can specify the location of the meeting, but everyone working from home, the location is effectively going to be online. So by connecting your Zoom, you automatically it will create the meeting in Zoom and provide the link in that. Just going to pause there for a second. Let me go back here, guys. Sorry, because I want to say a couple other things. Before you start this integration, I would recommend then that on a separate tab in your window, you log into Zoom, and be logged in, so that whenever Calendly goes over into Zoom, it knows you're authenticated. So yeah, as I say, it will automatically create the meetings in Zoom. And you can see here, just at the moment, due to the global impact of COVID-19, they're providing this integration for free, which is great. So it's a good opportunity for you to try it out and see. Again, as I say, it's not going to be suitable for every business, but if you're in a position where people book appointments with you, then it may be very useful. So you just go through that process and say, yeah, I approve, and you'll see again there you're on zoom.us, but once you authorize that, it goes back home to Calendly. So now Calendly knows your availability on your Outlook or whatever your calendar is, and it knows your Zoom ID and connection and can populate your Zoom meetings. So that's the all there is to that. So that's your calendar connected and your Zoom connected. So then we'll go in and create your first, they call it an event. So it could be a consultation or a training session or whatever it is that you sell. So you just go in, and Calendly, as you can see here, provides 3 sample ones by default, but you just go in and create a new event. You can create a one-to-one or a group session. Let me just go back there. So one-on-one allows you to arrange a one-to-one session with someone, or a consultancy session. You can also allow multiple invitees. So for example, yeah, for tours or webinars or classes, workshops, and you need the advanced version of Calendly to do that. But I'm going to do in this example just a one-on-one meeting. So we go in and hit create, just give the event a name. So for example, my test one-to-one session. You add a location, and this is where, as I say, if you select Zoom from that location, let me go back just to the options, the location options. Yeah. So, you know, there are a number of options here, but by selecting Zoom, that's how it automatically integrates in with the calendar, or with your Zoom application, and it's a really seamless integration. You don't need to do anything more to it. And then you could just put a description in here, and you take a note of this description, because later on I'm going to show you what the client sees from their end whenever they're booking, and they will see this exact description and event name. Obviously, you can customize the link that the client is going to see. So here it's defaults to My Test Consultation. You can add an event color, and just click on next. And then you set your availability. So what, you know, as I say, at the very start, we provided our default availability. We said by default, I'm available Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, or whatever you have it set to. But for this particular event type, so this particular session, you can go in then and specify more in more detail. So for example, I've gone into the 24th and edited the availability. So you can say, I'm going to finish up early that day, so change that to 5 or to 4, and you can apply that just to this day or to every Tuesday. And then going in again to Wednesday and say I'm not available. For Wednesday, what we're going to do is, yeah, we're going to say we have a separate meeting. We're off somewhere from 11 to 2, so we're not available. So what you can do is create a different segment. So that I'm available from 9 to 11. And then have a new interval that runs from 1 through to 3 or whatever it is. And again, you can apply that to just that day or to all days, all Thursdays or all Wednesdays. You can very quickly go in and say, you know, I'm unavailable. Again, so I'm unavailable. You can apply to all Thursdays or to the specific date, or all Fridays or whatever. So it's very flexible arrangement there. I'm just going to pause again. So, you know, we've set up the event and give it a name and a description and a duration in that. And then when can people book the event? We've set, you know, your calendar of availability. And that's literally all you need to do. You can then share that link. So this is the link for that specific event. And people will be able to go in then and book against that calendar. And obviously it takes care of, you know, if somebody books a session, then that session slot becomes unavailable for somebody else. So yeah, just going to play on there. And just a quick look at some advanced availability settings. So again, if you go into the actual session, so My Test Consultation is the one. Let me go back. Sorry, guys. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So we're going to go in and look at we've set up the standard, the default, and it's a 15-minute session. You can go into advanced, and here you can control a number of different settings. It's all fairly self-explanatory, but one, for example, the minimum scheduling notice down here, prevent events less than whatever number of hours away. So, you know, if I don't want anyone booking me at short notice, say, you know, between now and this time tomorrow, I can put 24 in there, and that will prevent people from making a booking that, you know, in case I'm not ready for it. So it's just a very handy wee setting you can do. Event max events per day. So, you know, let's say you're doing 1 hour sessions and you're making yourself available for 9 hours, but you only really want to do 6 hours a day because that's all you can handle. So you can set that as well. So there's a lot of flexibility around that. So that's it set up. I just want to show you then what the client sees from their end. So whenever you send them the link, so if we go in here and yeah, so go into to see, this is what the client sees. If you send them the link, then let me pause that. So yeah, as I say, you know, they can see the title, the duration. It's web conferencing because we're linked to Zoom. This is the description we typed in, and then they just need to select the date and time. So you remember we blanked out basically Thursdays and Fridays and this Wednesday, so there's not a lot of availability there. But if we go on through and click into April, you can see some more availability. It'll show up. So the user just selects a day that they want to have a meeting and selects a time. So they're saying let me just pause that again. Oh, come back a wee sec. Sorry, guys. Yeah. So the user has selected the 7th of next Tuesday, the 7th of April. They've selected 11 o'clock and they've hit confirm. And that will allow them then, so they put their, this is as I say, the member of the public or client, so they put their name and their email address in and click on schedule event, and that's them booked in. So for example, if you're, you know, running say even to allow people to book like a sales consultation with you, this can be very useful. So you can set aside, like, you know, one afternoon a week or a couple of afternoons a week where if somebody wants to book a one-to-one consultation with you, they can do that. And so the user now, they get an email with the confirmed meeting sent to their email. You get it to your email. Just while we're in here, I want to show you the pointing out the Calendly logo up in the top right hand corner. That's one of the sort of features of the free account. When you go upgrade to the paid account, you don't get that. And also just to say, you know, what I'm showing you here is a direct URL for that you have sent to your client. You can also embed this functionality into your website. So so on your you know, on your business website, you could have, you know, about us, our products, our services, and schedule an event. And within the branding of your website, you can have this sitting there, which can be very useful. Then just to view your bookings. So this again, you're familiar with this environment now, where you have your environment, and you can click on scheduled events, and you can see there then. So this is the event for Tuesday that we booked there now, the test one at 11 o'clock for 15 minutes. This here one actually was a real life one. I had sent over to Brona Lawler yesterday, and she booked herself in for a session, and we used this functionality. So, you know, I wasn't having to say to her, well, what time suits you, or will you send me sometimes that suit me? So I just made my availability, and she went in, and 2:30 suited her, so she selected that, and we connected through Zoom, and it was really useful. And as I say, it's a tool that we haven't actually used before this whole remote working has kicked off, but it is a tool that we will be using going forward for sure, because it's you know, there's a lot of handy functionality in it. So just going to jump into Zoom then to see how that looks from the Zoom side. So if we go into Zoom and into my meetings, and you can see there, that's the meeting. If I pause, that's the test meeting that we created there now. So it's in there, and I can go in and join that meeting. And then yes, so you can initiate that session obviously from Zoom. So the client will have received the their email confirmation will have received, will include a link, just like the link you guys got to come into this meeting. The client will receive a link, and then you go in and you go to your meetings and scroll down to wherever the particular meeting is. And at the time, then just click on start, and that's them. You're in the room with with your client. So what that does is takes away a lot of the pain of organizing, scheduling, and figuring out when suits, and, you know, sending links back and forward. It all just happens for you. It takes care of all of that. So it's a lovely wee tool. It can also be integrated with Stripe and PayPal, and that's something we're not going to look at today, but in a future seminar we may look at that to show you how you can actually sell your services online. Just to very briefly look then, as I say, this is a free version that we're using at the moment, and you can try that free for 14 days. The upgraded version is not expensive, $12 a month. And some of the main differences then, as I say, removing the Calendly branding is the first sort of main difference. And pooled availability. So if you've pooled availability, let me just pause there and go back to explain what those are. Pooled availability. So if you have, you know, 3 or 4 members of your team and they're all equally capable of handling the inbound bookings, then you can share their calendar, and Calendly will automatically see, right, well, he is available, we'll give him that meeting, and she's available at this time, we'll give her that meeting. And group events, as I say, you seen that earlier, where you could do one-to-one or a group event, and the group event is a paid version. And then the premium one that was $12 a month. The other is we talked about the payments, so integration with Stripe and PayPal, so that you need the premium version to use that. So that's really all I wanted to show you there. That's it for Calendly. The next tool I want to show you, and this is actually, again, this is one that we have started using ourselves just in the current situation. So AnyDesk is a tool that gives you remote access into a computer that's in your office. So for example, we have our Sage accounts is sitting in the office, and we don't have the Sage Cloud set up that I can access it here. So this AnyDesk allows me to navigate into the office. It can also be useful, say for example, if you have you know, a shared your server in the office with all your files on it, and you can't access them, you can use AnyDesk to go in and access a file, and even, you know, email that to yourself or WeTransfer it to yourself. So just to quickly show you it, you basically go to anydesk.com. It'll ask you to download a bit of software, and you it'll ask you to download a piece of software, and you just install the software. And when you first need to install this software on the PC in the office. So you can see here, install AnyDesk on this computer. So you would do that in the office, and that will give that computer a unique ID. So this is the unique ID. It's grayed out here, but this is the unique ID for this particular desk. But you will have one for your, whenever you install this in the office, that computer will have a unique ID. And then back home, you just put that ID in here, and that will then connect to the PC. So you put your address in. I'm not going to show you the ID we have there, obviously, but that's all. And then it'll connect, and it'll ask for a password. So whenever you're setting it up in the office, you will set a unique password. And then here, whenever you try to connect it, it'll say, "What's your password?" And you put your password in, and then it will just try to authenticate through. You know, could take 10-15 seconds for it to connect, because it's been through quite a few layers of technical stuff that's above my pay grade. But it basically connects into directly into your PC. I've this grayed out again just for security, but that's the PC in the office that you're looking at there. So I can just go in and, as I say, open up Sage and or access our shared folder and send myself a file. So that, guys, is all we have in terms of that main piece of the presentation. I'm just going to stop the share there. And again, does anybody have any other questions on any of that? Any questions and answers before? I'm going to unmute everyone again. Does anybody have any questions? As I say, we threw a lot of stuff at you, and the intention was not to make you an expert at any one of them, but it was more to expose you to what tools there are available, so that you know in your own business what may or may not be suitable, and hopefully you will have learned something. But yes, does anybody have any other further questions they'd like to ask at this stage? No. Okay. Mark, you'd be interested in a session on Office 365. Okay, well, thank you for letting us know that. I will feed that back to Barbara. Does anybody else have any others comments or questions? And then the only other thing I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to share a link down here. So our session is fairly much finished there. If nobody has any other questions, thank you very much for taking part today, and I hope it was useful to you. I hope you learned something today, and I hope you have something to take away from that. We will, as I say, be making the recording available for you to look again, if you need to go back, review back through any of it. And I would ask you, please, this is all new to everyone, but this running these conferences, seminars remotely like this is new to us. So we're keen to get as much feedback as possible on, what's working in it, what's not working, what else could we do differently to make it better for future seminars, because, I think realistically there's going to be more and more of these online seminars as we go forward. So, you guys are early witnesses to the first of these for us, and any feedback you can give us would be really helpful. So please do click on that SurveyMonkey link. You just literally click on the link, and that will open up a URL, and fill in your feedback and let us know how we can improve the session going forward. So listen, guys, that's all. If nobody else has any other questions, we're going to wrap it up. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone, and stay safe and wash your hands. Thank you.